afternoon or morning or evening or whatever time it is wherever you are in the world. Today I'm going to talk about writing the hard stuff. And there is stuff that's hard to write about, whether you're writing fiction, non-fiction, memoir, personal essays, or even just a blog post. And sometimes they're the hardest of all. Things can be hard to write about because they take us to places that are deeply personal or private. Sometimes it's writing about things that are quite traumatic and bring back painful memories. Sometimes it's writing things we're embarrassed about or ashamed of, like times we've failed, for example, or regrets we have. Sometimes things are hard to write about because they involve people we love who don't want to be written about, or about people we don't want to hurt but who may be hurt if we write the truth about something that happened that involved them, and we feel like we're being disloyal to them. So things can be hard to write about for a number of reasons, and not just real life events but fiction too. I've written about difficult stuff on my blog and in my first novel, but far and away the hardest scenes I've ever written were the fictional sex scenes in my second novel. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But I felt way more exposed writing those than I ever have writing anything else. I felt like I was writing porn or something, and I actually had to leave home and write them elsewhere. I went to my daughter's and closed the door and had to psych myself into it, telling myself that I didn't have to show a soul if I didn't want to. I could just file it away in the bowels of my computer, never to be read by anybody. But the thing is, once I started writing those scenes and the more I wrote them, the easier it got. And I ended up quite enjoying it. So there are a million reasons to avoid writing about things that are hard to write about in any genre of writing. But I will say this, once you've done it, you won't regret it. And I'll also say this, I think it's important that we do write about these things. As writers, it's part of our job description to be honest in our writing, to dig with our pen to the very core of what makes us human, to go where others are too frightened to go. Anyone can write about pleasant things, but it takes courage to be honest, to dig deep, and to get to the heart, the very core of a scene, to get to the truth. Being a writer means being as truthful as you can, and that takes courage. If you're writing memoir, people don't just want to know about the nice times and the happy days, they want to read about the tough times and the sad times too. And that's what will give your story heart. That's what people will relate to, those non-Instagrammable moments, the stuff people want to pretend didn't happen, the parts they try to keep secret. They're the life-changing moments, the significant events. They're the things too that will move your reader, that will reach them, because they, more than likely, have had a similar experience themselves, and for the first time maybe, they're reading something they can relate to, and they don't feel so alone anymore. And that's the great thing about writing. How many times have you picked up a book and read and thought, oh my God, this has happened to someone else too, someone else feels the same as me, and you felt a connection to that character or the author because of what they'd written and what you just read, and you felt understood. Because really, why else do we write? But so we can understand ourselves and therefore understand other people, and so the reader can feel understood too. And there's another important reason for writing these moments down. It's important for ourselves. If we've had an experience that's hard to write about, there's a reason for that. And if we try to keep it hidden and keep it a secret, it holds a power over us. And it starts to occupy a bigger part of our brain than it deserves. And it starts to affect our lives. But once we put it in black and white on a page, it helps our brains process it. And there's a neurophysiological basis for that, about to do with the limbic system and the frontal cortex, which I won't go into here, except to say that putting it into words and putting it in those black and white letters on a page shifts it from that emotional part of the brain, the limbic system, to the frontal cortex, that more rational part of the brain, where it loses a lot of that emotion and we can see it in a more clinical way. And if we can do that, if we can see these moments of high emotion more rationally and think of them like we think of all our other memories, that's an incredibly powerful therapeutic tool that we literally have at our fingertips. So when we first write something on a page, it might feel scary. It might make our hearts thump and our breath come faster as we write. But once we've finished, there's an accomplishment in getting it out and on the page. And we can pat ourselves on the back because we had the courage to go there and be honest. And each time we reread those words we've written, we'll find that that place that was once so scary to go to loses a little bit of that fear. And each time we read it, it loses more. And that's just from writing it down. Each time you reread it, each time you edit it, more of the fear, more of the emotion dissipates. And you begin to see it more clinically, more rationally, more distantly. I speak from experience here as I've written about difficult periods of my life, and now I pick those pieces of writing up and read them, and I read them just like I read about something I ate for breakfast yesterday or what I saw when I walked the dogs. So even those events that were traumatic to revisit or incredibly embarrassing lose that power over you that they once held. But all that emotion is still there, recorded on the page in all the detail of the incidents. So your reader gets it. It's really important to be able to write into difficult places, and I think as writers this is part of what we must do. Have the courage to go there. Have the courage to write about things that other people are too frightened to write about. As Elizabeth Gilbert said, feel the fear and do it anyway. That's the definition of courage. Now there are a couple of tricks I use when I'm writing about things I'm too scared to write about. My favourite, and I use this all the time, is to tell myself that no one else is going to read it. And it's actually true because I'm the one in control of who I show my work to. So I can keep it hidden in my computer somewhere, and unless someone hacks into that and holds me to ransom for my titillating sex scene, no one else is going to read it. The point is, you don't have to show anyone. You can delete it, you can hide it, but you probably won't want to. But telling yourself that no one's going to see it is actually liberating, and that's what will get you writing sometimes. It means you can write whatever you like, all the stuff you don't want anyone to know about, all your secrets, your fantasies, your dreams, those serial killer stories, all those things that you don't want to admit to writing, to wanting to write. So leave the house if you want, get in a little metaphorical cocoon, make sure no one's looking over your shoulder, and type whatever it is that you're too embarrassed to show anyone onto the page. And I bet it will be really good writing. If you're still embarrassed, or you still can't face it, or you can't look at it straight away, don't delete it, just put it away until you're ready to return to it. Another trick I use is to write it in third person, as if I'm writing about someone else. This is where fiction works well, even if it's memoir or your own personal experience. I often use the prompt, one day someone should tell the story of ... and off I go. I find that third person distance, almost an all-knowing omniscience, helps, at least in the early stages, before I can put it in first person later. Sometimes I find I procrastinate when I have to write a scene I don't want to write. I'll procrastinate even in the writing. I'll circle around it for a while, describing the setting and all the backstory, till I get up the courage to dive in and do it. Sometimes I don't even realise I'm avoiding writing it, but once I do, that's when I get in that cocoon and say, just do it, Louise, dive in, remember no one has to see it. So there are a couple of ways to trick yourself into writing about things that you'd rather not write about. I think it's important to acknowledge that it is scary and that it's fear of being judged by others that's holding us back. And that's what we have to overcome. Sometimes there's nothing else but to say, I don't care what anyone else thinks, and if they judge me, then they're not worth having in my life. The big thing to remember is that the more honest we can be in our writing, the better our writing will be. People smell inauthenticity a mile off. And honest writing is good writing. The more honest you can be, the more it will speak to your reader, because basically all of us humans, we are all the same. We all have the same needs and desires, the same feelings. What's important to you will more than likely be important to your reader. If you feel it, your reader will likely feel it too. And that's the important thing. That's what good writing is. It communicates between people. It bonds us. And being honest is the way to do that. So I'll end this little lesson here, and I look forward to seeing you again another time with another writing tip. If you have anything that you'd like me to answer or talk about, please feel free to write in the comments below or message me privately, and I'll see what I can do. Until we meet again.